It's Stranger Things Day. Stranger Things 5 is getting nearer and nearer, and these are my 5 bold predictions for Season 5. What's up, guys? It's Ty, and like I said, I'm going to be coming at you with my 5 bold predictions for the 5th and final season of Stranger Things here. Stranger Things has always lended itself well to theories and predictions, and so I knew I had to create some pretty bold ones going into the last season of my favorite show. So as you would think, these predictions are what I think will happen, not necessarily what I want or hope will happen. Really, I just base these predictions on my own feelings, on hints we've gotten through, certain leaks from cast members and from the Stranger Things crew themselves. And so I'm about to get into it, but before I do, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of Stranger Things content. I've posted 2 other videos today, about Stranger Things, and I'm going to continue to post a lot of content leading up to the release of Season 5. So to get into my first bold prediction, I think that 3+ main characters will die in Season 5. Now, I definitely consider this a bold prediction because I see other content creators that talk about the show saying they think a character will die at least. I think 3 characters will die at least. I think the writers have heard about the noise of, oh, this show will never kill people off. And, obviously this is the last season, it's been announced, so they have nothing to save these characters for going forward. And I think ultimately, though the stakes have been really high before and not many deaths have happened, especially to the original characters, I think this time around they're going to handle it differently. They're going to kill off a couple of the most beloved characters in the show. I think not only will it silence the fans to some degree who have said the stakes haven't felt real enough because of the lack of main character deaths, it will also just make sense because the stakes will be higher than ever. This really is the final fight between Eleven and our crew and potentially other people, and Vecna and his whole army that we expect to come. So of course, even though main characters haven't died that much leading up to this, it has never made more sense than now. And I really just think within this universe, this sci-fi type of show with these really beloved characters, I think character deaths in the final season are going to hit really hard and strike that emotional chord with the fans. So I think they're going to want to do it multiple times. And my prediction is 3, at least 3. As for who I think will specifically die in Season 5, I made a Stranger Things 5 survivability tier list that I dropped on my channel earlier today, so you guys can check that out. But at number 2, I have Max will be controlled by Vecna for over half the season. Once again, this comes back around to the fact that I think the Stranger Things writers and crew have heard the noise about how they're afraid to kill off characters and about how it hasn't felt real enough in some circumstances. So I don't think they're going to make Max's return to normalcy as easy as we might think. Even if there's a time jump this season, I don't think they're going to flash forward whatever it is, 6 months, a year, multiple years. I don't think they're going to flash forward and just say, oh, Max is up and she's fine. I think we will start the season with her either still in a coma or still, in very bad condition. And then I think even if she wakes up, I think at first she will be controlled by Vecna. Vecna will be in her mind, kind of doing bad things with her body and with her conscience, and trying to control her in his favor. Because to be quite honest, I don't know if they can, make her heart beat again with Eleven doing it through her mind, kind of that questionable, method of bringing her back to life, and then just like make it so easy for her to get back to normal again. I think it's going to have to feel earned. And I think the only way it's going to feel earned at this point is if she really has to overcome being controlled by Vecna for a large portion of Season 5. Even though it might not be how a lot of, fans and people who love Max want to see their character at the very end of the show, that might just be the reality at this point because of the decision they made. But they did say they brought her back for a reason. They do have a larger purpose for her. And I think it's going to be a cool story in Season 5 where she has to overcome the evil of Vecna once again, but in a different way because he's literally going to be controlling her. And so I think, the people around her are probably going to have to do something to free her of him. And it's going to be really interesting. I don't know exactly what type of route they're going to take, but yeah. At number 3, I have someone from Hawkins' lab will not come back to help Eleven. Instead, Max or Will get powers. This one I thought long and hard about, and I've been planning this video, and originally, one of my bold predictions was that someone from Hawkins' lab will come back to help Eleven, and that being mainly 8 or another surprise number, which is 2. Now, I initially thought this because I've believed for a while that Eleven cannot do this fight alone again, and by alone, I know our crew of, normal, powerless humans will be helping her in whatever way they can, but I'm still considering that alone because I don't think she can be the only one with any extra powers if they want to take down Vecna and his army in season 5. So I thought, yeah, I mean, 8's gonna have to come back, even though people didn't love her storyline and, kind of consider that season 2 episode 7 Lost Sister episode to be a failed experiment. I think that's kind of the main sensible option they have at this point to bring her back, because 11's gonna need a lot of backup. But then I also got to thinking, a theory that I had at the end of season 4 is that 2 from the lab, the one that bullied 11 a lot, is still alive. Because if you watch the scene where 11 comes in and confronts 1 after he kills all those people in the lab very maliciously, he has 2 up on the wall as like the last kid other than 11 that he's killing. But you see that he lets go of 2 before he breaks any of his bones, before he snaps his jaw, before the eyes go into the back of his head. So I don't know if 2 maybe just slipped into a coma and didn't die. I thought that was really interesting how they made a point to show 2 being killed by 1, but then he's not actually killed like Vecna/1 usually does his killings. None of the limb snap, none of the eye and face stuff like I already said. So I thought maybe 2 could be alive and somehow come back and they could make that make sense. But then I came to my senses and said, they're not going to bring 8 or 2 predominantly unliked characters back to help 11 save the day and wrap up this amazing show. They're not going to do that. What they're going to do is make one of our characters that already has a connection to Vecna, they're going to give them more power. And once I thought about this, it makes much more sense. I mean, why bring back characters that people weren't super big fans of and that haven't been very involved in the show, to help save the day? It wouldn't feel earned for those characters to, kind of get the spotlight and be part of this hero partnership. No, it makes a lot more sense to make one of the characters we've been following all along step up to the plate, acquire these powers in hopefully a really cool way, and, help 11 in an unexpected scenario. So yeah, I think it's going to be Max or Will. They're the main ones that have a connection to Vecna. Like I said, I think Max will be overtaken by Vecna for a large portion of this season. Do I think she could somehow flip that on him and use powers that he has, kind of planted inside of her? I think that is perhaps an option. I think probably the one people have thought about more is Will having powers, and I could certainly see that. I don't know exactly how they'll write that in or why all of a sudden he would acquire powers, right? Because, he's kind of been free of Vecna for, a year or 2 now since they've moved away, and even before that in season 3. He could still feel him, but, he wasn't controlled by him anymore, and he didn't have powers then. So I think, as far as explaining it and making it make sense, it could be a little easier with Max, but at the same time, it does maybe feel a little more fitting for Will to have powers just because he struggled with it for so long and seems to already have an understanding of how Vecna feels and thinks. So it's certainly interesting to see what route they'll take here, but I do think somebody else with powers is going to have to help 11, but I just don't think it's going to be someone else we've already seen with powers, which is basically anyone else from Hawkins' lab. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you think Will or Max will get powers. I really believe it's going to be one of them. I just don't know which one. All right, at number 4, I have Will is not going to die. Now, to me, this is a bold prediction. I think that the vast majority of fans think 11 and or Will are going to die, and I do think there's a great chance 11 dies. And I also think, sure, Will's in a lot of danger. It would make sense for his story to conclude that way, but I ultimately don't think Will's gonna die. Because to me, it comes down to the fact that it's only going to be 11 or Will. I don't think they're gonna take both of them out because, they're similar in the sense that they're the 2 characters that are most connected to Vecna and the Upside Down and everything that's come with it. So I think killing off both of them would be a bit redundant and kind of hitting the same nail twice. Once again, I certainly think he'll be in a lot of danger, and I guess if 11 doesn't die, then I think he's very vulnerable, but I am of the belief that 11 is probably going to be the one that's got to be sacrificed here. And like I said earlier, I think she'll only be one of 3 deaths, but I think obviously she'll be the ultimate sacrifice right at the end of the show. And I just don't think Will go as well as her. And now for number 5, my 5th and final bold prediction for this video is the time jump will be 2+ years. Now, referencing back to a video I made much earlier this year, I believe I released it back in January, about things I didn't want to see happen in season 5. One of them was a really long time jump, but unfortunately at this point, I think it's just reality. I think a time jump of 2+ years is gonna happen this season. Not only have we gotten certain hints and leaks from pictures the Duffer Brothers have posted from set about, books and other pop culture references to things in the years of like 1988 or later, which would be, a 2-year time jump. It also just seems like the dialogue from some of the actors in their interviews, appears to tell us that they are going to jump quite far into the future just because of the storyline of the show, but I think also to combat some of the complaints about the ages of the children. And to be quite honest with you, I honestly hate this. I hate that they've been so scrutinized for the kids looking too old for the characters they're playing. If you look around at other shows and movies throughout history, there have always been actors that have played characters they look much too old for, but it hasn't really affected the viewing of the show, the experience. I mean, sometimes if it's, really unrealistic, you could be like, it's kind of hard to watch this 30-year-old play this like 17-year-old in high school. But in Stranger Things scenario, I really just don't think the kids look like crazy too old. I mean, I think they're all relatively young looking kids, especially when you shave them up and, you put the girls in the ponytails. I don't think they look so overwhelmingly old that it's just that unrealistic. So I just hope this time jump isn't fully as a reaction to those criticisms, because I think it's kind of a dumb criticism to begin with. So like I said, that would put us in at least 1988. Season 1 happened in 1983, and then every season since then has been in the subsequent year. So 1984, 85, and 86. And I think this time jump is gonna take us to 88 or after. Real quickly, the reason I also don't like this is because the way we left off season 4, I thought was a great way to get season 5 off and running straight from that point, because the world was literally being overtaken by the Upside Down right at that moment. So how now are we going to explain that, oh yeah, the Upside Down's leaking into the real world, there's all these humongous gates all across Hawkins, but no, like it's gonna take a couple years for them to actually attack. I realized Vecna wanted to heal because they injured him and everything, and yeah, maybe that takes weeks or months, but years? That just seems a bit crazy to me, and I'm sure there'll be a well thought out explanation from the Duffer Brothers, but just at surface level, I don't really understand how they're gonna explain this big of a time jump at this point. And I hope you guys know what I mean by that. Like, season 4 left off, the world is being overtaken. And I even saw them in an interview right after season 4 go, yeah, we're really excited about season 5 because now we can just leave, we're right on the runway. We just gotta leave right where it left off and, start the fight. But from every hint we've gotten since then, it appears they're not going to be doing that. And we even see pictures of the kids back in school. And yeah, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they'd be staying in school in Hawkins if this threat is looming for years. It's just kind of crazy to me, but we'll see how it's explained and brought to life. So yeah, those are my bold predictions for Stranger Things 5. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I hope some of them surprised you. Once again, it's that 3 main characters will die. Max will be controlled by Vecna for over half of the season. Someone from Hawkins' lab won't come to help save the town and the world with 11. It will actually be Will or Max. Will not die in season 5, and there will be a time jump, unfortunately, in my opinion, of 2+ years for the final season. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you got to watch my other videos released on Stranger Things Day as well. Once again, it's a Stranger Things survivability tier list and reacting to Stranger Things hot takes from people on my page. But that's all for today. Like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach 500 subscribers by the end of this year, and I think it's a pretty attainable goal. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.